Couples Textbook Part 4: How to Treat Premature Ejaculation and Improve Ejaculation Control. This video and script are copyright registered. Any reproduction, excerpt, or unauthorized use without the creator's permission is prohibited by law. Premature ejaculation is when ejaculation happens too soon before, right at the moment of, or right after penetration. According to international standards, if ejaculation happens repeatedly, within about 1 to 2 minutes after penetration, it can be defined as premature ejaculation. But it's not just about time. Doctors also look at your ability to control ejaculation, your sexual satisfaction, and how often it happens. So, what causes premature ejaculation? Actually, most men experience it at least once in their teens or 20s. That's because at that age, the tip of the penis is super sensitive and sexual urges are at their peak. It's like you could explode at any moment. But if you're still dealing with premature ejaculation even after that phase, it's important to start working on overcoming it as soon as possible. Premature ejaculation doesn't happen for just one reason. Usually, it's a mix of psychological and physical factors. Psychological causes include anxiety, stress, impatience, low self-esteem, lack of sexual confidence, guilt or negative beliefs about sex, irregular sex life, and lack of experience. If you think you have a serious problem with premature ejaculation, it's a good idea to see a urologist for a consultation. But for most men, premature ejaculation can be overcome with the right methods and a bit of practice. So don't worry too much. When a woman is having her first experience and is in the pain, the first stage, it can be so uncomfortable that she actually wants her partner to finish quickly. But as she moves up to the second, fourth, sixth, or even 8th stage, she needs more time for sex. If she's moving up through those stages but her partner keeps finishing too soon, what do you think happens? She can't experience that rising pleasure anymore. That's why both men and women need to pay attention and really understand what a healthy sexual relationship looks like if they want a happy marriage. Let me share an interesting story. There's a novel by Paulo Coelho called 11 Minutes. Do you know why it's called that? The author says that, on average, men around the world last about 11 minutes in bed. That's why he chose the title. But from a sex expert's point of view, 11 minutes is kind of ridiculous. Why? Well, as I mentioned before, women have about 90% of their sexual potential untapped. Do you think you can awaken that energy in just 11 minutes? That's why so many women never experience the 5th or 6th stages of orgasm in their lifetime. In the end, if a man can't control his ejaculation, both he and his partner are likely to feel unsatisfied. For women to progress through the stages of orgasm, the quality and duration of sex have to match each stage. If the man finishes too quickly, whether he means to or not, the woman can't reach orgasm. Now, let's talk about how much time is needed for each stage of a woman's orgasm. Of course, effort and technique are just as important as time, but let's focus on the timing for now. Women need different amounts of time for each of the 9 stages of orgasm. Stage 1, pain about 5 minutes. As I mentioned, when a woman is having her first experience or is in pain, she just wants it to end quickly. In this case, a partner with premature ejaculation might actually be a good fit. Stages 2 and 3, no pain, hope about 10 minutes. Stage 4, stimulation about 15 minutes. Stages 5 and 6, intermittent constant orgasm, about 20 minutes. Stage 7, multiple orgasms, about 30 minutes. Stage 8, complex orgasm, about 1 hour. Stage 9, ecstasy, about 1 to 2 hours. So, as women move up the stages, they need more time. Of course, women who reach the 7th stage or higher can sometimes reach orgasm much faster because of their experience. But even then, orgasms don't just end with one. To go deeper and feel even more pleasure, you still need enough time. Actually, premature ejaculation isn't just about lasting 10, 20, 30 minutes, or even 1 or 2 hours. It's about being able to control when you ejaculate, being able to finish when you want to, and hold back when you don't. If you can't do that, that's the real definition of premature ejaculation. In that sense, you could say most men experience it to some degree. Most men are born with a tendency toward premature ejaculation. And if you don't actively work on overcoming it, it's not just going to get better on its own. Men who don't see sex as something that should make both partners happy often think the shorter, the better, because it feels more intense for them. They don't really try to last longer or think about how their partner feels. For the wife, there's nothing good about this. She just ends up feeling tired and unsatisfied, but keeps going for her husband's sake, which leads to a lot of frustration. That's why premature ejaculation is one of the biggest obstacles to a happy marriage. Actually, premature ejaculation can be treated through masturbation. But I'm not talking about masturbation just for pleasure. This is about masturbation as a form of training. Most men masturbate to relieve strong sexual urges or to comfort themselves. But that's not all there is to it. The real point is that men can use masturbation to develop their ability to control ejaculation, so they can match up to women's potential sexual capacity. This is really the only chance men get to train themselves. Most guys start masturbating around age 13 to 15, and at that age, sexual desire is super strong. Masturbation helps manage those urges in a healthy way, so it has a positive side. But sometimes, teenage boys feel guilt or anxiety because the pleasure is so intense and new compared to their childhood innocence. Honestly though, masturbation is way more natural than actual sex during adolescence, so there's really no need to feel guilty about it. Of course, there are downsides. If you can't control yourself and just ejaculate without restraint, you might feel physically drained or weak, and mentally you could feel anxious or empty. In the long run, it can even affect your health or speed up aging, so keep that in mind. For most men, there's not much sensation before ejaculation, but the moment it happens, there's a rush of pleasure, a climax. That's why men often chase that feeling. Actually, the faster you ejaculate, the more intense the pleasure can feel, because you haven't used up as much energy. But if you only care about your own pleasure, and your wife ends up feeling pain or frustration, you're not really fulfilling your role as a husband. That's why men should start training themselves to control ejaculation as soon as they become sexually aware. A lot of men think they can't control when they ejaculate, but that's a misunderstanding. With repeated practice, anyone can learn to control it. So let me get into the specifics. Most men have a sense of when they're about to climax, so the trick is to stop just before you hit that peak. Depending on your age, if you're in your teens or 20s, try stopping about 4 seconds before you think you'll climax. In your 30s, stop 3 seconds before in your 40s. 2 seconds, and if you're over 50, stop right before. Younger guys need to stop earlier because the glans is more sensitive and sexual excitement is at its peak. So even a little extra stimulation can make you ejaculate right away. Pause for about 5 to 10 seconds and then slowly start again. This can help you extend the time before ejaculation by at least 1 or 2 minutes. When you feel close again, stop once more and repeat. This is called the stop-start technique. If you can last 1 minute at first, try to add another minute next time. Take your time and practice slowly. The longer you can hold out, the better your control will be. If you keep at it and get up to 10, 20, or even 30 minutes, you'll be able to last 20, 40, or even 60 minutes during actual sex. Since masturbation is usually faster than intercourse, you can double your masturbation endurance to estimate your control during sex. And when you're pausing at the peak, don't just sit there, do Kegel exercises. Take a deep breath and squeeze your anus or the perineum, the area between your anus and genitals. This helps calm you down, and it's great for preventing urinary incontinence and keeping your prostate healthy, especially as you get older. If you repeat this process and get to the point where you're not fazed by the urge to ejaculate, you've already built up solid control. Here's another important tip. A lot of guys watch videos while masturbating, but it's better to avoid hardcore porn. Porn gives especially young men way too much stimulation, which can lead to sexual dysfunction or even erectile issues later on. These days, even men in their 20s and 30s are experiencing erectile dysfunction, and one big reason is early exposure to porn. If you can, try using romantic scenes from movies as your mental reference. That way, you can build up your control and prevent future sexual health problems. If a husband doesn't overcome premature ejaculation and only cares about his own pleasure, ignoring his wife's satisfaction, she'll start to disregard him and may even want to find someone else who understands her. If she meets someone new and experiences pleasure she never had with her husband, the marriage and family may stop mattering to her. This can lead to separation or divorce, and the family could fall apart. Whose fault is that, really?